and welcome back. Today I'm gonna be continuing with the bed in the room that I've been drawing in. So for anyone who's new, I've been working on um, this game called Dungeon Marauder, and I'm currently drawing the pixel art room that the character starts in. Um, this game is kind of medieval themed. With you control this little knight, and he starts off the tutorial of how you move around and that kind of thing. I don't want to spoil too much, but you start off in this room. So for the past couple of days, I've been doing more than just a block out of what the room layout looks like. I've been starting to putting together some shapes and kind of detail a little bit more of the space. So the next prop is the bed that you see right here. So let me actually demonstrate what we're looking at. This is all baked in right now, so I think the first step that I'm gonna take is to crop it out. So figure out exactly what this piece is, cut it out, and paste it on a new layer on top. Put it right back into place and hide that. And also I need to fix this little hole that I've left in the wall here, just in case a player's ever able to see behind it. Not that they will, but and also it's not gonna be green, but let's fix it anyway. Alright. Okay, so I'll turn this back on, and I need to be careful of that I'm between the carpet layer and this overall wall layer. I want to there's a few things that I need to make sure happen here before I start to block out the shape of the bed. I need to make sure that I stay within these margins. So in case that's not super clear, that's why this is the shape. The player needs to be able to go here, to go in this space and in this space and in this overall space. So they need to be able to fit there, and not only that, I have navigation with collision blockers that won't allow the player to go, beyond this point and in this corner here. So I need to make sure that this bed, I can undo a few times. I need to make sure that this bed doesn't escape this cylinder or rectangle that it has drawn here. And because of that, I think I'm gonna draw everything a little bit smaller, that doesn't necessarily reach the edges, and then as I add blankets and other things on top of it, it will block it off. However, what I can do is go higher here, right? Because this is touching the wall. It's okay if it goes taller, if you will, on that side. I might actually start with something like that just kind of breaks the rules from the beginning, just to set up the width, because that's what I care about. I care about it not being wider than that. Anyway, I did a lot of talking and a lot of drawing, so I'll get into that. Let's start with a brown, because I'm gonna block out the wood, and I'm actually gonna go a little bolder with this because it's gonna be covered up by blankets and pillows. I just want to have it slightly different, and let's see what that looks like. I'll start a new layer, and I imagine there will be a leg. Yeah, that's already too light for me. Going darker, maybe as dark as this. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, okay, I like that better. Going with something like that, I think that would be good. And I'll block out these legs, and I actually probably want them to be as thick as the bed can be at max, right? Because these are the legs that hold up the top of the bed. Put one on this side, and now I need to imagine, this is gonna be this leg, if you will get shapes that are overlapped on top of it, so you're not gonna be able to see the whole leg, but I still will, as if this is where it touches the floor, right? But you're not gonna see that. I'm still drawing it right now because I want to see how tall I'm making the actual bed. And that might be, you know, as tall as this. So let's see what happens when I duplicate that, put it on the other side. And then merge it. And I imagine there's some sort of, do it with the lighter layer, some sort of head to it. Probably not large enough. Let's try something like that. I don't know if I like that, but I want to test it. Yeah, that's actually not bad. And I'll fill up. I just wanted something that has some roundness to it, so I started with the circle, and then got rid of that part. But yeah, so see, now it looks like the I don't know what that's called. I'm at a lack of words right now. The head of the bed. But I want to also make it look like I'm seeing the tops of this, right? Because again, the kind of isometric view. So I'll already start planning that. Possibly, you know, steal from this color here. Make it lighter and do it on this layer here, and let's see what that would look like. I'd have 1 2 3 1 2 3. I could duplicate this layer and it would probably be faster. And actually, let me demonstrate that technique, because that would honestly be much faster. So I'll duplicate that layer, move it 1 2 3 down, and then the layer underneath it, I'm gonna recolor that lighter like that. And see, and I already created that silhouette there. And I think I'll go slightly lighter because I wanna be able to then go darker in the corners. So that will be my next step. I'm gonna start getting darker as this progresses down. You know, as if it had some curvature to it, because it does. And I'm already getting into too much detail, but I just want to kind of plan the spaces a little bit more before I... Oh, sorry, I want to detail the silhouette of this a little bit more before I continue with the rest of the space. I think I like that. That I can work with that. I can make that more detailed later. At the same time, I now have to figure out, you know, what is the height of the bed, right? Like how far off the ground. If this is the ground here, or actually here, where the legs start, how far off the ground is the minimum part of the bed? Why do I have to figure that out? Well, the reason why I have to figure that out is because you'll be able to see it here. So I want to plan that out a little bit. I'm gonna probably merge in these layers. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that right now. And duplicate this. And even though I'm not going to use a similar layout, I will use similar thickness of legs. And I know now that this, if I want to start the kind of the bottom plank that holds the wood together, about here maybe. What that means is that that's how far off the ground the bed is. So I can now delete wrong layer or wrong tool. I can now delete all of this, and it will communicate, you know, how much I have to work with here. So what I can do is add some, or start counting the pixels, and I want to make this first plank of the bed. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, 8 pixels tall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's above that, right? Okay. And I want to add a layer between these two. That's this piece. And this is what's gonna happen. It won't go all the way to the edges. I don't know why I did it all the way to the edge here, because I shouldn't go all the way to the edge. Now I deleted too many. Okay. So yeah, see, now I've kind of blocked out the, kind of the bottom plank of the wood, and I think I'm gonna go significantly darker with that. Maybe even darker than that, because it will be all covered by other things. And I see there's a dot, and it's kind of frustrating me that there's a dot coming in from another layer. And this is because of the palm rejection that I've talked about. It's not fantastic. So sometimes when I'm drawing another area, and I found it, okay, it's on this layer. Sometimes when I draw on another layer, it and my palm is in another part of the screen, sometimes it picks up pixels. Okay. I want to also plan out this. So I planned out the thickness of this, or I didn't plan out the thickness of this plank, the brown plank that you see. So I'm gonna do that, and I think it will be not able to draw there. Why is that? Okay, this probably shouldn't be part of this layer. Cut that out. It's better. So now I should be able to see. Oh, because I'm using the same color, that's why. I should be able to see this side here. Perfect. How thick should I go? I think something like this, but maybe lighter and more saturated. Yeah, okay. And then I also want to put in, even though again it will be covered most likely, but to put in some sort of mattress thing to kind of figure out, how thick would that be and how far would it extend. So probably something like that. And the top of it would extend all the way here. And actually, just to make it more interesting, it's not going to occupy the whole thing, just so you can see the wood underneath it. I think it will give it a nice touch if you are able to see that. Yeah, so see at this point it's starting to kind of look like a bed. And now the whatever it is, has more shape to it. It makes sense why it's like that. I'm gonna also round this up a little bit. And like I mentioned, the bottom part, I'm not gonna keep the way it is, but I still want those legs there just to see the space better. At this point, I think it's safe to get rid of the thing that was informing how much space I have to work with, and possibly use that to drop a shadow in just to ground this. So I imagine it'd be casting a shadow on the ground, just a little bit maybe outside, since the lights will be a bit above it, and then maybe not so much. Oh, there's someone watching the stream. Hello there. And actually here it'd probably be lower as well. There you go. I'll fine tune that later, but it just wants something that's I'm also gonna maybe desaturate it and just make it black. And kind of right now blends in a bit too much with the legs because they're very dark brown and you don't have any highlights on them, but I'll fix that. Cool. So what I need next is to figure out what this mattress thing is like. I think I'm not too happy with how tall it goes, so if I'll move it down 2 pixels, but that means I need to move it down 2 pixels here as well, so that the height is similar. Yeah, because I do want this height over here to be occupied by some pillows or something as well, and then to still have this much at least available wood planks at the top. Alright, so I was saying I want to do something different from the bottom, right? Just so it's not symmetrical. I want to keep these kind of like large stilts, but make them shorter, so they're not symmetrical at the top. Even though they look like it, they're significantly shorter now. And they'll have a little bit of differences. So I'm gonna add another layer underneath it, and I want to pick up this color and maybe go with a lighter version. Let's see what that looks like. I'm saying that would have a voice because I'm not convinced. But what if... Nope, that doesn't look good. I'll go with the darker version then. That's the other option. I want to put a plank of wood here and a plank of wood here. And because I still want to see, kind of get a hint of what's underneath it. But I want to put a few like vertical pieces of wood that hold that part together, and then one here, and then a few, like I was saying earlier, lighter ones. Let's try that. If I put these, how many is that? 1, 2, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 pixels apart. Two, 3, 4. Okay. Well, duplicate that. I just laid it on top of each other just so it's easier to... I don't have to measure it every time. Okay. And now, make sure that it's sort of symmetrical. Yeah, so this way the top is different from the bottom, and the bottom has more, it has holes in it, so you can see what's happening underneath it. Just lets a little bit more detail go through. I don't know why, but it's giving me a creepy feeling right now, this bed. But, and it's a mixture of, like, I'm looking at the 2 reference pictures that one has, this kind of design, and then one has this kind of design, so I'm just mixing the 2 because I think they still can look like it's a single cohesive thing. But alright, so next, this is really important here. The reason why I'm keeping these pieces, these I can merge as I'm saying that, but I'm keeping this part, separate from this part and separate from this part, is because I want to be able to layer in blankets and pillows and, then add additional detailing, and they almost, feel like 3 different planes. So I want to keep them separate so I can easily add that, because if I were, and especially since this has, transparency in it, I want to be able to add the blanket now, for example, on top of the bed without having to worry about the grill or the grid of wood that's on top of it from this bottom of the bed. So let's see. I think I'm gonna go with like a bold color because there's a lot of boring colors in the room right now, and see what what it would look like with kind of a pale green. I'll probably have to adjust that a little bit, but let's give that a try, and put a blanket that goes maybe like halfway, maybe a little bit more to the side, halfway, and it would reach out here too. That's too strong. So make it darker and less saturated. Maybe even less saturated. Slightly lighter. Okay, do not worry about the walls and all that. Those will change color, so this will probably be the only green thing in here, other than those little books on the shelves, like these ones over here. The walls there are just to block out, so that color is kind of irrelevant. It was just something to block different shapes. So I'm actually not going to worry about that at all, but I'm just going to focus on the identity of this bed. And then if it's, I want to make it look like it's folded on itself, so here at the top, am I on the right layer? Yeah, just didn't have the right tool. Okay, so here at the top, I'm going to make it lighter, maybe thicker. And then let's round it up a little bit. Oh, I forgot I'm working on a single layer here. So if I remove that, I just have to clean up like that. Yeah, so now it has a little bit of curvature. Undo that here too. And at the same time, I think I might be able to also give it some gradient. Make that slightly lighter, and make that even lighter. Make that the lightest. Let's see what that looks like before I go too far. Okay, it works on the bottom, I think, but here, since it's a different color, I'll have to redo it with bolder colors too. Okay. I think I don't like this one. It's too strong. Yeah, because then I could go bolder with that. Let's duplicate that, and I'll figure out if I still need to do... No, undo that. If I still need to do it in a similar way on the other side. Okay, yeah, I like that. I'm not going to commit to drawing it on here and here just yet, but I just wanted to look at what it would look like with that curvature, and I like the way it looks. It is a bit tidy for a bed right now, but I think how I'm gonna break that up is I'm gonna make it look like this blanket is sticking out on this side, and maybe it's not it's not level here. Is that a single layer? Yes, it is. Okay. So since that's a single layer, I'm gonna pick up that color and make it just look like it's not straight. There you go. And I'll probably add some folds into it too, so that will change it. And then a little bit of curvature here and a little bit here. It just adjusts. Actually, I don't want that to be symmetrical, so maybe I change that up here. That's okay, better. Although I don't know, I kind of liked the clean look on top. Okay. Yes, that's subtle, but is better. Let's test out what they... Okay, that's the folds. I'll bake those in. Or the gradient on the side. Before I start detailing too much, let's see what a pillow could look like. So I have some references of some real pillow and some like game art, pixel arty pillows, but this kind of looks like it would be only large enough for one person. It's bad, so maybe I just put one pillow in it. Alright, well, let's pick up a color. I just imagine a lighter version, less saturated version of this, and kind of block out the rectangle first. Oh, that's not a rectangle. Okay, and yeah, it's actually, let's move it slightly to the side so it's not perfect, or maybe to this side. Yeah, why not? Yeah, and I think I like that look with the single pillow. And then let's make it more pillow-like. So give it those corners and maybe a little bit around this. This is going to be pretty challenging since it's only a few pixels here, but I think once I add the pillowing highlights, that will make it look more like a pillow. Yeah, it kind of already reads like a pillow anyway, from far enough away. Sure, if you zoom in like this, it's not the greatest, but from like about this distance, which is where you see the character mostly, yeah, usually for full screen, this room would take up to full screen, so you can move anywhere you want with the player without having to move the camera. This looks about right. Just to kind of plan out the shading a little bit, let's see, pillows should be pretty easy to shadow, or to self-shadow, to make it more 3D. Let's see what that would look like. So if I give it a pretty strong round highlight at the bottom, and then a little bit on the side. This part I think I want to make more saturated and slightly darker. That might be too much, but we can tone it down. And then lighter at the top. Okay. And then I think I also want to do here is do a little bit of dithering, because as I reduce the opacity of this might look good on that pillow. Yeah, I think only the side and the top are what's too much here. So let's pick up that color and make that darker. Yeah, let's pick up that color, make that less saturated and lighter. Yeah, that's better. I like that. And I can spend more time detailing it later, but so far let's drop that in and drop a shadow underneath it too, since I spent the time detailing it a little bit. Put a shadow on it too. And here, it'd have a contact shadow at the top of the bed too, but I just want to make sure that it still reads like it's the light is on top anyway, so it'll have a larger shadow at the bottom. Yeah, so see, this is too much here. Okay, let's see what that looks like. It's probably still too much at the bottom too, but okay, that's better. I don't like that. Okay, cool. That's good. And well, I now realize as I'm looking at this that I placed the pillow in the wrong place, because it shouldn't be on top of the blanket here. It should be over here. Um, that's funny. There you go. Maybe let's duplicate that out of curiosity. What would it look like if I add, a second pillow on top of it? I know I'd have to do something to make it different, but I'll flip it over. I'd have to change the highlights too. I kind of like the one single pillow look. So I'll continue to experiment with that. Like, what if I put it in the middle as a pillow for a single bed would usually be. Now, see, that looks too boring. So I like it more on the side. So maybe I do that and make sure that, just so this side doesn't look too empty here, I'll put some folds in the blanket or mattress or whatever's on top of it. Not to mention that I plan on detailing this headboard, that was the word, headboard. Plan on detailing that anyway. Sweet. So now, what am I gonna do? I think I'm gonna start detailing a few pieces. I don't think I have any major shapes that I need to figure out. Any other major shapes that I need to figure out. Let's look at some references for a little. I have the top, I have the bottom, I have the blankets, I have the pillows. I don't need the additional detailing. I mean, at this point, even if I just leave it like that and just add the details, I think it will be good enough to not look like it doesn't belong. So I think I'm gonna continue with the way it is. In terms of detailing, let's start with the headboard. So to do that, I might turn off some layers. Actually, that one probably doesn't need to be turned off, but I'll turn it off anyway. Just to plan, what's happening here. Like if I have a pattern or something. I see some of these references have like a engraved, sculpted thing. Might hear me clicking right now. Let's see. I don't see anything that great in my references here. If anyone in the chat, the one person in the chat, has any ideas, if not, I think I'm gonna do like this. There's this little cute thing that has like a. Let's try that out. It has like a circle in the middle. Okay, something like that. And then, because this is covered by the pillow anyway, so, or partially covered by the pillow and the mattress. So I still wanted to have some patterns though. That doesn't line up. How did I do that? I started here. And then start here. Okay. Yeah, that almost looks like a sun. What? And right now I'm just making things up. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this, so I'm just gonna try some stuff out and see. I don't even need to bother about the other side, because that's why you have symmetry. Yeah, it's almost like a solar pattern of sorts. No, this one doesn't look right. I want it like that, so it's not identical to the top. That might look horrible, but we'll give it a try. Let's duplicate that. Now it's a star. What does that look like with things on top of it? Yeah, not horrible. No, I'm keeping it. I'm gonna make it slightly less intense, but I'm gonna keep it. I think that works. I'll start adding some highlights. Actually, no, it would be, if the light is from the top, it would be if this is, ingrained in the wood, and light would light it from the top. The highlight would be on the bottom edge. Maybe a little bit here. No, I don't like that. Okay. Tone that down. And the other sides would have a darkening. No, that was a mistake. Alright. Let's do strong. Yeah, why not? Okay. And now I'm gonna start turning layers back on. So you have something there. I'm going to merge that, I like it, and then I'm gonna add some more detailing on the wood. I think a few things that this needs is similar to what I've done in the other drawings. Have some patterns on the wood. That should be a different layer. And I also want some highlights on that. First, something really bold on the edge here. I went too far. And perhaps some shadowing on the inside. This is, technically this is inset compared to the side wood edges, and this needs to also go darker right next to it, just like the shadows receding the whole object. There you go. At the same time, I should probably add also on that layer, just making sure, probably add some highlights on the object behind it, or in front of it, which is this. Sometimes, you can communicate a lot with in pixel art, with these highlights, because, if they're stronger on a similar type of wood, it would indicate that it's closer to the light source, technically. And these I'm going really long with these, just because I'm gonna make it really, really weak, but just enough so that you can see that it's an edge. And it already pops from the back. Pop that in. Take this, draw some patterns making it up right now. I don't care too much about the sides. It just has some noise, it should be enough. And now I do want some boulder scuffing on here. Not so much on the inside, because imagine like if this bed moved a little bit and this character tapped it with things, it would scuff up on the edges. And I do want to add some highlights at the top as well. Yeah, what does it look like without it? Yeah, see, it just sticks out a bit more from the wall and looks like it has more shape to it. More three-dimensionality. Alright, then yeah, now that star kind of looks like it belongs, even though it looks like it was carved by someone in prison or something. Nah, I don't like that. I'll undo that. Alright. So, I think I'm done with that part. I will proceed, since, I've been drawing wood. I'll go to the bottom thing and detail those a little bit before I go to the sheets. And I realized after watching part of my video from the other day that in between sentences I say a lot. So that's something that I'm going to try to address with these videos. I'm going to try to actively think about saying so I don't say while I'm trying to form the next sentence. I don't know if anyone has tips for that, for how not to do that. I'd be happy to hear those out. Just like with and see, I said again. With the coronavirus outbreak, I read that if you want to make sure that you're washing your hands for 20 seconds to, and you don't want to be counting, which sounds really boring, and probably cut it off early, to sing happy birthday twice. So go happy birthday to you, and yeah, blah blah. And do that twice, and it makes it sound really stupid, but it takes longer than 20 seconds, so supposedly that's a good idea. Something else that I was thinking, I have limited experience with streaming and talking to myself like this. I usually, when I do the art, I listen to music and don't really think about anything. But I was reading that and actually some of the art streams that I watch do this, the presenter talks about random events that are happening, so it'd be good to maybe like assemble a list of things to talk about and just ramble on about something while I'm doing things that don't require explanation. Like right now I'm doing more of the same, what I've done before, so I don't feel like I need to explain it again. I'm just adding, I said again, I'm just adding gradients at the bottom to make it look like that part is in shadow. And it has, like a contact shadow. So I'll go with actually a darker, I think this is almost black. Yeah. And then maybe add some pattern to the whole piece of wood. And on top of that, some highlights, because that makes this part stick out even more and look better. Up close doesn't look like much, but once you zoom out a little bit, it looks like a really dark piece of wood. For these middle bars, if you will. They're wooden bars. I don't want to make them look like slats. To be clear, I'm talking about the horizontal ones. The horizontal ones, I want to make them look like they're round, right? Like they're a piece of wood that's been taken from one of those machines that they had in the Middle Ages too, where they just shave off pieces so it starts being round. While these ones, I want those to still be kind of flat, but have a little bit of roundness to them. So for that, this means that on these middle ones, I'm gonna go with bolder differences in value. So the brightness of the top will be much more exaggerated. But I still want a gradient, so I want these to be darker compared to the ones above them. And yeah, maybe to demonstrate that, I'll go lighter on this, maybe even lighter. Okay, and then tone that down. At the same time, since there's 3 rows of pixels here, I'll go like 20 dark on this. It's not very dark. Maybe like 14 on this. Yes, that's significantly darker. And then 10, and that's very dark. And now the top doesn't have enough, so let's do like 18 maybe. 17, 16, sure. Okay, yeah, so see now that feels slightly rounder. I have a bit of a I'm getting frustrated, I keep saying and then I say again. I have a little bit of highlight that I want to add here because I think this is not round enough to what I'd want it to be. Doesn't read round enough. With 3 pixels, it's difficult to make that look round. But I think something like that kind of helps it a little bit more. Oh, I didn't want to do that. There you go. I want to now separate these back pieces, and I'm going to go with black actually, to separate these black pieces a lot away from the bars in front of it, because I just want to push them backwards to make them look like they recede, they're behind. So drawing in some really strong contact shadows, and then I'm going to put gradient on the contact shadow as well. So I'm going on with black, and I'll keep it black next to the bar, but then I'll add maybe like 7%. Let's try that. No, that's too dark still. 10%. Yeah, just make it slightly less dark there so that it looks like it's the shadows fading off a little bit. And now you can see why I kept those separate layers. I can adjust these pretty easily, and see how they were before, and then as I push this more, it looks like it's receding the whole thing. I want to add now on top of it just some similar highlights that are, like makes it like it's lit from this side where one of the candles will be. Alright, and honestly, it's kind of ironic, almost, that, I'll be honest, it feels like the vertical ones read rounder, probably because of how bold the highlight to dark areas is, how bold the contrast is. They look like they're round, or rounder, than the horizontal ones, but it doesn't actually bother me because it still looks kind of cool. Alright. And as I'm looking at this, I feel like the bed feels like it's a little bit floaty, even though that shadow, it's still low. So if I go to like 30% with this, and I'm gonna add another layer that is maybe just over here. Let's see what it looks like if I add it on the sides too. Yeah, it's not not crazy. Make that darker. And maybe just a little bit on the foot here. Yeah, because there are multiple light sources, so it wouldn't be crazy to have overlapping the hues of color on the shadows. And again, now I'm just throwing ideas at the wall to see what sticks, because literally there's a wall here, so this would cast a shadow. Yeah, and I think I like that. There you go. Cool. So now I have the top and the bottom in a really good place. And the pillow, has some detail on it, so not my main concern right now. My main concern right now would be this. So what do I do with the bed? With the mattress and the blankets themselves. So I'm looking at some references that have some very strong folds in them. I have a top-down view here, or isometric view. So I'm not going to be able to communicate that very well, and I don't know how many pixels this is, but let's see, it looks like 50-60 pixels. Yeah, but let's give that a try. Let's give it a try. Let's first do some roundness on the edges. So I'll start with this color, go slightly darker, draw a line there, and I'll turn off the pillow for now. It's a sentence I didn't think I'd say. Turn off a pillow. Pick up that, go slightly darker, just go slightly darker again, and actually a little bit more saturated too, because colors can get more saturated in the shadow. Okay, yeah, that reads to me like a curve, and what I can do is actually get slightly lighter here to make it look like it's a highlight on the edge, and I don't have to do it symmetrically, so I can make it slightly less, or here, slightly less intense on the other side, just as if the color or the light came from the left. Yeah, so see, this line here is lighter than the one over here. In terms of, and on the same layer of symmetry, if you will. At the same time, I'm gonna make a new layer. Let's try to see what would happen if I do a bit of highlighting at the top. Maybe I start with that intensity. Yeah, let's do that. Start with that intensity and then go slightly lighter, and then even lighter here. And then make that really subtle. Okay. And now I want to see how I could do some folds, and this might just be some patterns, but we'll see. I just want to make some shapes here. If they read like folds, great. If they don't, that's fine too. And here I'm gonna try to make it look like several folds, as if someone picked it up and pulled from this point here. Several folds converge. Now I'm gonna do some some dithering on this. That was a mistake. I don't use this technique often enough. I think it helps blend colors that are significantly bolder than the ones I usually, and have more contrast between them when they're trying to blend. That almost makes it look like it's wet. Might have to reduce the opacity of the whole layer. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of highlights on these, especially here. No, that doesn't read right. Especially here, as it feels like, you know, this was a pinching point. Right, and it doesn't necessarily read like fold here, just because this was a flat surface, but I'll try more of that on the blankets. I think this is enough patterns to make that look like a bed. I might have to come back to it, but alright. Let's move on to, and I'll merge it in. Let's move on to this green blanket, because I think there's more to work with here. So one thing I can do here is make it more wavy, so it's not, you know, perfectly straight off the bed. Similar on this other side. I got the wrong color. There you go. And for these, if I do a little bit, like I imagine each one of these would be a wave of how this blanket got rose up. So, and actually I can draw on top of this because it's on the layer behind, so it makes sense. And from here, if I were to color in this thing, since it's covered, paint bucket it would cover the whole area. Oh, too much. There you go. Same thing here. And what I'm gonna do is start first lower the opacity, because I want to know, like, is this the lightest it gets? Probably not, but let's bake that in and then start with this color and go darker a little bit, as I just want to make it seem like, you know, it's sticking out. And now it's too dark. Maybe have to eat in a little bit to blend it. You know, to the one person who's watching, if you're someone I don't know, you know, feel free to ask any questions if you have any questions about how I'm doing things or what I'm doing. If not, you know, feel free to enjoy the video if that's all you want. It still feels like this is too light here, but maybe not, you know, from far enough it doesn't look as bad. And also I imagine once you reach this peak that there'll be a darkening here, And I probably need to reduce that. My whole iPad went down in opacity. Well, I don't want to cancel broadcast. No, I guess that's the right opacity. Never mind. Or brightness. It might just be the battery. It's at 42%. Okay, let's lower the opacity of that. Yep. That's not bad. Alright, and I'm gonna merge that in, and I think I'm gonna use the dithering approach a little bit here too. I'll take this, dither that a little bit. Great, and I think this looks a little bit more like what I was expecting. You know, there's like two big folds in the middle. I want to add just more highlights since it's, you know, it's almost flat at the top of the wave, if you will. So I want to add just a little bit highlight down the middle on each one. Maybe here it splits or something. I'm just making it up. And add some dithering on that too. And I'll also probably reduce the opacity on that. Most definitely, otherwise it looks very strong. Great. I'll put some shadows on it too now, because I want it to look like it's on top of this. That's not dark enough. On top of this piece of mattress or whatever it is, and correct the mistakes I made here. Same thing at the top, probably. Even though I probably should have done this after I finished the blue part or the teal part. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that yet. I'll undo that. At the bottom it's fine, but on the sides there. Now I think what I'm lacking, after I merge this, what I'm lacking is the sides here don't look dark enough anymore. So I'll darken those a bit. Not too much, not all the way to black, but I just want them to go significantly darker than they were. So it looks like it's hanging off the bed away from the camera. Oh, and we have a second person join the chat. Welcome. Or join the stream, not the chat. Nobody's actually joined the chat. Or said anything in the chat. Yeah, if you have any questions about what I'm doing, feel free to ask. If not, I'll just keep blabbering. I want to merge that. And I'll be adding some more detail on that blanket on top. So that, I was intending it to only have one fold, one big fold, a readable fold. Like this, kind of counter what these ones were doing. Yeah, almost like that. So I'll start planning my lightest area. It would be like this. Let's see if that works well. Yeah, why not? Unfortunately, our second streamer or watcher abandoned their position and they've left. Too bad. Doesn't seem like it was their cup of tea, so Alright, yeah, I have some curvature to it now too. I kind of like that. I'll start adding something that's slightly darker so it blends in a little bit more. And then slightly darker again. And now back to normal. But here, what if I find a value that's lighter? Ditter this a little bit more, and this part, and this part. Obviously, I'm not doing like a fantastic dithering job here. This is amateur stuff, but I don't want that. I just want a little bit of detail and noise, really, because this is, like I said, this is a non-important prop, and I'm probably spending over an hour on it. That was too much. I should have made that on a separate layer. Let's undo that. Yeah, so this is, it's a single unimportant prop in a room that will probably be used once or twice in the game. So I'm not focusing too much on it. But really, I want the game to have overall the same level of detail everywhere. So I'm giving it as much attention as I'd give to something that I'd consider more important anyway. And just trying to keep a cohesive style is more important for me, at least in this case. All right, yeah, I like that. I'm gonna add some highlights. Like I started on that layer, but I'm gonna go much bolder now. Yeah, great. Something like that. Because I'm gonna tone that down a lot, but I want to go bold so I can do a big wash. Okay. And then at the same time now I can do that contact shadow here in between these two blankets like I was talking about over the wrong layer. Okay. So really strong contact shadow here. Where I imagine, these two blankets connect. And I could, this looks like they're one on top of each other. I should probably not have double layer there, yeah. This looks like it's one on top of each other. If I'd have something like this, they almost look like they blend into each other. Which actually might look better, but I do want them to read as two separate things. And how I'm gonna reinforce that is like, there's another image that I'm looking here at that has like little frail things. I don't know what the word is. English is hard. It's also my second language, so just have a little bit of I really don't know what these are called, but just pieces of the blanket that stick out, so that it looks like it's either a blanket folded on itself or like two separate blankets on top of each other. That's the intent. So maybe if I do it on this too, on this other one, it might look even better. Let's give that a try after I put in a shadow underneath it, and that's on a separate layer. Good. I put in a shadow on this, and then I'll try adding those fringes. I think that was the word that I was looking for. Let's give that a try. What would that look like here? Did I draw them on the... I did draw them on that layer. I could undo a few times if I don't like them, and I don't know. Let's see if I undo that, because I think they're too strong. So I'm gonna redo it on a separate layer, like I should have done it from the first time. Put it underneath that, or on top of that. Because I thought that they are a bit too strong. Just basically too dark. Yeah, see, something like that reads much better, and I couldn't have adjusted that if it wasn't a separate layer. Okay, so now the whole mattress thing is one layer. I could give it another try to put a similar fold in this mattress part, but I think I'll keep that one flatter and simpler. Alright, I'm going to take a look at the overall thing. I want it to read like it has more silhouette on the sides. So on this whole object again, I'm going to go with some really dark green, pretty much black, and do some big big shapes here. And you know, the reason why I'm doing that is because I want this whole piece to just be darker. So that it just reads like it has more shape to it than it actually does. More three-dimensionality. And obviously that's a very harsh line now, but the reason why I did it is so you can figure out, you know, like what value I want, and it's probably around 30%. And then start lighting that up. Let's see. If I do like that, and then probably here I'll go lighter. Well, actually I should have gone darker, because I want to go in this direction. I went too far, didn't I? Yeah. Okay. And then undo that. Go to like 7% and just do a little bit here, just so there's some transition from black. Okay. I said 30% earlier, but I think 20 is a bit better, just because I can now take this and do a bit of dithering. Let's try 25. Just do some dithering here. Okay, and it also kind of blends in with the rest of the bed where I've been dithering. Okay, cool. I like that it has more roundness to it. Feels less or more organic, even though it's a prop, but feels more organic than the rest of the bed where the wood is very crisp, plainer shapes. I think I want to add some pattern, like just something really simple on the pillow, and I might call it done. Yeah, maybe some slight highlights in the corners. Great. I just put a dot on the floor, I believe, or more than one. Yeah, I hate this part. I hate that there's so many times that the palm rejection doesn't work. I'm not sure how married I am to this green on the cover. I like it right now, but if the walls were green, I wouldn't like it. I know the walls will change in color, so I might keep that. I might also desaturate it and make it more boring brown or like boring looking blue. But for now, I'll keep it because I think it works with what I'm hoping the rest of the room will look like. I'm gonna move the character. Oh, did I just undo something? Did I disable the bed? I did. Oh, and actually one last thing before I move the character in place. I just realized that this is not casting a shadow on the bed. And I think it should. Because that's how physics works. So put this behind it. And just go darker. Why not? Go a little bit with that. And actually with those, I'll go slightly lighter and less saturated, gray, with the vertical ones, so it's less intense from the vertical ones and more intense for the horizontal ones. Okay, and desaturate that. Or not desaturate, lower the opacity, I mean. Yeah, see, now it's looking like, before and after, it's looking like these wood pieces are casting a shadow. At the same time, I think it should be casting a shadow on from the big legs too. So there you go. Okay, and I think that, pops way more. All right. I believe this might be done. I'll start. Actually, I'm gonna save this and go back into it. And I think I'll merge the layers. I don't see anything that I'd want to do. Hopefully I don't regret this. I'm gonna do it. And it's done. Even the shadow. No turning back now. Well, other than the undo button. But that will only work until I close the document. Yeah, so I think I'm happy with the bed. And I'll move the character back in place, back where it was, right next to the bed. The character still fits in here, because they need to be able to walk there. I'll put it in front of this, just so it doesn't overlap with the bed too much. And actually, since I need to take a screenshot of this, I'll just put it over there. You know what? I'm changing my mind. I'll put it back where it was, because this looks fine the way it is. I don't need it for any purpose over there. Alright, I think I'm just beating around dead bush. I think this is it. This should be finished. I'll turn back the table that I had done earlier. And this room is starting to get populated. Well, this is the bed that I did in today's narrated tutorial, whatever you want to call this. Thank you everyone for watching, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I would have posted this at some point in the next couple of days, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, on YouTube for anyone to see it at their own pace and rewind and whatnot. I'll also post, other than the straight up recording that I'm doing right now, I'll probably post a version of it that is sped up as well, just in case you want to watch, just to see my process without hearing my voice and the narration. And anyway, I think that's it for today. Thank you, everyone, and bye. Don't forget, this is the game that I'm drawing everything for. It's called Dungeon Marauder. You can check it out on Steam. Has a release date planned for the summer. And what you see now is kind of a prototype that is available for wishlifting on Steam. Right. Say bye one more time. Bye. If you want more videos like this one or have a question, please leave a message in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe.